Right, I want you to imagine something for a second. It's 6:30 in the morning, January, still pitch black outside, absolutely freezing. And there's this bloke called Marcus, 31 years old, wedged into a packed Northern Line carriage somewhere between Tooting and Bank. He can't move his arms. Some stranger's armpit is basically in his face. The train smells of damp coats and broken dreams. Marcus has done this exact journey 2,347 times. He's actually counted. 5 days a week, 48 weeks a year, for nearly 10 years. And this morning, this particular miserable January morning, something in him just snaps. Not dramatically. He doesn't scream or cry or have a breakdown. Nothing like that. It's quieter, worse in a way. He just thinks, is this actually it? Is this what the next 35 years look like? Because here's the thing about Marcus. On paper, he's done everything right. Good grades at school, went to Leeds Uni, got a solid 2-1 in business studies, landed a graduate scheme at a big insurance firm in the city, worked his way up to middle management, earns 52 grand a year now. His mum's proud as anything. My Marcus works in the city, she tells everyone. But nobody tells you the other side of that story, do they? The £43,000 of student debt still hanging over him. The rent on his one-bed flat in Clapham, eating 60% of his income. The credit card he uses to bridge the gap each month. The savings account with exactly £412 in it. Marcus earns more than his dad ever did. And somehow, he feels broker than ever. But here's where it gets interesting. 3 years from this exact moment, this grey, soul-crushing, armpit-sniffing morning, Marcus will hand in his resignation. Not because he has to, because he can afford to. Passive income covering his living expenses. Property portfolio generating cash flow. A business running without him. Financial freedom at 34. So what changed? What happened between the rat race and the escape? One book, one conversation with a stranger, and a complete rewiring of everything Marcus thought he knew about money. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how it transformed Marcus's entire relationship with wealth, and why it might just change yours too. Kettle on, let's get into this. Oh, and if you're new here, welcome to the family. This channel's all about taking the most powerful books ever written and turning them into stories you'll actually remember. No boring lectures, no dry summaries, real journeys, real transformations. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, subscribe and stick around. Seriously, the community we're building here is absolutely brilliant. Right, quick bit of context on this book before we dive back in, because it's important. Rich Dad, Poor Dad has sold over 40 million copies worldwide. 40 million. That's mental when you think about it. More than most fiction bestsellers. Robert Kiyosaki wrote it based on his own experience growing up with 2 father figures. His biological dad, the poor dad, was highly educated. University degrees, stable government job, believed in working hard and climbing the ladder. His best friend's father, the rich dad, never finished secondary school. But he understood money in a way that formal education never teaches. The book isn't saying education is bad or that poor people are stupid. Let's be clear about that right off the bat. It's about the mindset difference. The way these 2 men thought about money, work, and wealth. And Marcus? Marcus had been operating with Poor Dad, programming his entire life without even realizing it. To understand Marcus properly, you need to understand where he came from. He grew up in a 3-bed semi in Wolverhampton. Decent house, nothing flash. His mum worked part-time at Sainsbury's. His dad was an electrician, self-employed, worked hard, proper grafter. Money was always Tight-ish. Never poor, never comfortable. That British working class thing where you have enough, but you're always one boiler breakdown away from panic. And the messages Marcus absorbed, without anyone explicitly teaching them, shaped everything. Money doesn't grow on trees, Marcus. Get your head down, work hard, and you'll be all right. Find a good job with a pension, security, that's what matters. People like us don't start businesses, that's for other people. His dad, bless him, had one core belief about money, and he passed it on to Marcus like family silverware. That's the cycle, isn't it? That's what everyone does. You trade your time for money, the money pays for your life, and you do it again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. For 45 years until you're old enough to stop. Marcus never questioned it. Why would he? Everyone he knew lived like this. So he went to uni, got the degree, landed the good job in London. And for the first few years, it felt like winning. Making more than his parents ever did, living in the capital, buying rounds at the pub without checking his bank balance first. But then something changed. The lifestyle creep started. Nicer flat, nicer clothes, better restaurants. His income went up, but somehow his savings never did. At 25, he earned 32 grand and had no savings. At 31, he earned 52 grand and had 400 quid. £20,000 more per year, and somehow no richer for it. That's when the penny started to drop. Something was fundamentally broken in the equation. He just didn't know what yet. 3 weeks after that morning on the Northern Line, Marcus is in a pub near London Bridge. It's a Friday. His mates cancelled last minute, but he didn't fancy going home to an empty flat, so he stays anyway. He's nursing a pint, scrolling mindlessly through his phone, when an older bloke takes the stool next to him. Mid-50s maybe. Well-dressed, but not flashy. Has that air about him, you know the type, like he's got nowhere to be and all the time in the world. They get chatting, the way you do in pubs sometimes, strangers becoming temporary friends over a drink. The bloke's name is David. Welsh originally, moved to London decades ago. Semi-retired now, he says. Marcus asks what he used to do. Bit of property, bit of business ownership. Nothing glamorous. Marcus, not thinking much of it, moans about his own situation. The commute, the grind, the hamster wheel feeling. David listens, really listens. Then he says something that stops Marcus cold. How much of your income do you actually keep then? Marcus frowns. What do you mean? I earn 52 grand. David smiles. That's not what I asked. I asked how much you keep. After tax, after rent, after bills, after all the things that take money from you, what's left? Marcus does the mental maths. Doesn't like the answer. Honestly? Basically nothing. Maybe a couple hundred quid some months. David nods, unsurprised. Right, so you're a 52 grand earner living like someone who earns nothing. You've got high income and zero wealth. Those are two very different things. Marcus has never heard anyone put it like that before. It lands like a punch. David reaches into his jacket and pulls out a worn paperback. Pages all dog-eared, spine cracked. Read this. I know it's old. I know some people think it's basic. But if you actually understand what's in here, actually get it in your bones, everything changes. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Marcus takes it home, reads the whole thing that weekend, and by Sunday night, his entire worldview is in pieces. The first thing that smacks Marcus in the face is Kiyosaki's description of the rat race. It's the cycle most people are trapped in without realizing it. Here's how it works, right? You need money to live, so you get a job. The job pays you, but the taxman takes his cut immediately. P-A-Y-E. national insurance. You never even see that money. What's left goes to your landlord, your bills, your car payment, your phone contract, all the things you've committed to. Whatever survives after that, you spend it. Because you're tired, you're stressed, and buying stuff feels like a reward for working so hard. Next month, same thing. Month after month, year after year, decade after decade. The terrifying bit, your expenses tend to rise with your income. Get a pay rise, nicer flat, better car, more expensive holidays. Your lifestyle expands to consume whatever you earn. Marcus sees his entire adult life laid out on these pages. Every pay rise he celebrated, immediately absorbed by upgrading his life. He never got ahead because every step forward came with an equally expensive step sideways. Kiyosaki explains that this is the game most people play, and it's designed so that you never win. You work for money, but the money leaves before you can keep it. Meanwhile, people like David, they play a completely different game. This single idea, this one mental shift, becomes the foundation of everything Marcus does next. The second breakthrough comes when Marcus finally understands the difference between assets and liabilities. Now, you might think you already know this. I certainly thought I did. Assets are things you own. Liabilities are things you owe. GCSE business studies, yeah? But Kiyosaki redefines these terms in a way that changes everything. Simple, right? Almost stupidly simple. But watch what happens when you apply this definition to real life. Marcus grabs a piece of paper and writes down everything he owns. Car, financed. Nice furniture, credit card. Designer clothes. Latest iPhone, contract. His investment, ISA, with $2,000 in it. Then he applies Kiyosaki's test. Does this put money in my pocket or take money out? The car, £340 per month in payments, plus insurance, plus petrol, plus maintenance. Taking money out. The furniture, minimum payments on the credit card, plus interest. Taking money out. The clothes, not generating any income, just sitting there depreciating, neutral at best. The phone, £65 per month contract, taking money out. The ISA, $2,000 earning about 1.5% interest, technically putting money in, about £30 per year, less than his monthly coffee habit. Marcus stares at his list. By Kiyosaki's definition, he owns almost nothing that's actually an asset. Everything he has either costs him money or sits there doing nothing. This is the trap, isn't it? Society tells us that owning stuff is wealth. Having a nice car, a good postcode, designer gear. But if those things are bleeding you dry every month, you're not building wealth. You're building an expensive lifestyle supported by future work you haven't done yet. Marcus remembers something David said in the pub. The middle class look rich, but are broke. The wealthy often look ordinary, but are free. That Sunday evening, Marcus looks around his Clapham flat differently. Everything he'd been proud of, the nice TV, the designer sofa, the perfectly styled space, suddenly looks like a prison he'd built for himself. Every object representing a chain tying him to that Northern Line commute. Right, we're at a turning point in Marcus's story, and I want to pause for a quick second. If this is hitting home, if you're recognizing your own situation in what Marcus is going through, then you're exactly who this channel is for. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me your Northern Line moment, that point where you realized something needed to change. I read every single comment, and honestly, the conversations that happen down there are sometimes more valuable than the videos themselves. We're building a community of people who refuse to stay stuck. People who want to understand money, not just earn it. And I'd love for you to be part of that. Right, let's get back to Marcus, because the real transformation is about to begin. Marcus finishes the book and does something he's never done before. He reaches out to David. They'd exchanged numbers that night in the pub, but Marcus hadn't expected to actually use it. "I've read the book, twice. I need to know more." What follows is a series of Saturday morning coffees. David, it turns out, is exactly the kind of person Kiyosaki describes. He owns 7 rental properties across Birmingham and Manchester, has partial ownership in 2 small businesses, a cleaning company and a vending machine operation. Neither requires his daily involvement. His passive income, money that arrives whether he works or not, comes to about £4,000 per month. Not millions, not yacht money, but enough that work has become optional rather than mandatory. David shares something that rewires Marcus's brain entirely. There's 2 types of income in this world: earned income and passive income. Earned income, you trade hours for pounds. You stop working, the money stops. Passive income, you build something once and it pays you repeatedly. You could be asleep, it's still working. Marcus has spent 10 years building his ability to earn. Better job titles, higher salaries. But earning isn't keeping. And a high salary is still a chain if you need every pound of it just to survive. David gives him homework. Before you buy anything this month, anything at all, ask yourself one question. Is this going to put money in my pocket or take money out? For the first time in his adult life, Marcus starts saying no. No to the new trainers. No to the upgraded phone. No to the weekend away he can't really afford. Instead, he starts a spreadsheet, tracks every single penny, where it comes from, where it goes. The results are horrifying. £180 per month on food delivery apps, £220 on drinks, coffees and eating out, £150 on subscriptions he'd forgotten he had, £300 on stuff, random Amazon purchases that seemed essential at 11 p.m, nearly £1,000 a month on things that vanished into thin air, things that brought no lasting value, built no wealth, created no freedom. That's £12,000 a year. Enough for a deposit on a buy-to-let property. Enough to start a small business. Enough to actually change his life. Marcus had been bleeding money and calling it living. Armed with his new awareness, Marcus creates a plan. Phase 1. Plug the leaks. Stop the bleeding. He moves to a cheaper flat. Yeah, it's in zone 4 now. Yeah, the commute is longer, but it saves him £400 per month. He sells the car, gets a second-hand bike and an annual travel card. Another £300 per month saved. He cancels everything he doesn't actually use. Gym membership he never went to. Streaming services he forgot existed. Magazine subscriptions from 3 years ago. Within 3 months, Marcus has freed up £900 per month. Not through earning more, through keeping more. Phase 2. Build the asset. David introduces him to the world of property investment. Not the way most people think about it. Not buying a dream home, but buying income streams. Marcus spends 6 months learning. Weekends spent at property networking events. Hours watching YouTube tutorials. Actually reading mortgage documents instead of skimming them. He finds a 2-bed terrace in Sheffield. Costs £95,000. Needs some work, but solid bones. The area's up and coming. New tramline being built. Student population growing. Using a combination of savings and a Help to Buy ISA he'd forgotten about, plus a buy-to-let mortgage, Marcus buys his first investment property. Renovation costs him £8,000 from savings. 3 months later, it's rented out. £650 per month. Mortgage payment, £310. Management fees, £65. Insurance and maintenance fund, £75. £200 per month, just appearing in his account. whether he goes to work or not. It's not life-changing money, he knows that, but it's his first asset, his first thing that puts money in his pocket instead of taking it out. Marcus remembers Kiyosaki's famous line, "The rich buy assets, the poor only have expenses. The middle class buy liabilities they think are assets." He's crossed a line. He's no longer just middle class. He's building something. Let me fast forward now, because watching someone save money for 36 months isn't exactly gripping telly. Year 1. One property, £200 per month passive income. Year 2. Refinances the first property, it's gone up in value, pulls equity out, buys properties 2 and 3 in Leicester. Combined cash flow now £650 per month. Year 3. Starts a small side business, online financial education for beginners, based on everything he's learned. Takes 6 months to gain traction, but eventually adds another £500 per month in mostly passive income. 34 years old, 3 years after that moment on the Northern Line, Marcus's passive income, £1,150 per month. Not enough to retire on, but enough to cover his basic living expenses, rent, bills, food. This is what Kiyosaki calls the crossover point, the moment when your assets generate enough income that work becomes a choice, not a requirement. Marcus still works, but he negotiates going down to 4 days a week, uses the 5th day to build more assets, grow his portfolio. The job that once felt like a prison now feels like an optional source of extra investment capital. He's playing a different game now. His colleagues are still chasing promotions, still stressed about bonuses, still trapped on the Northern Line. Marcus is building an escape tunnel, one brick at a time. So what can you take from Marcus's journey? Let me give you the essentials. Income isn't wealth. What you earn means nothing if you spend it all. Wealth is what you keep and what that money does for you. Understand assets versus liabilities. If it puts money in your pocket, it's an asset. If it takes money out, it's a liability. Ruthlessly sort your possessions by this standard. Escape the rat race by design. The cycle of earn, spend, repeat is a trap. You escape it by deliberately building income that doesn't require your daily presence. Pay yourself first. Before the bills, before the fun, before everything, put money toward assets. Make wealth building non-negotiable. Financial education is everything. Schools don't teach this. Your parents probably couldn't teach this. You have to learn it yourself, and the ROI on that learning is infinite. Marcus's dad worked hard his whole life and retired with a modest pension and a nearly paid-off house. Marcus will work a decade less and retire with significantly more freedom. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, it isn't inheritance. It's understanding how money actually works. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's not a perfect book. Some of the examples are dated, some of the advice is American-specific, but the core principles? Timeless, essential, life-changing. Right, that's me done for today. If this video shifted something in your brain, even slightly, smash that like button. Leave a comment about what you're going to do differently starting tomorrow. Share this with someone stuck in their own rat race. They might not know they're in one yet. And I'll see you in the next one. Build something that sets you free.